the moon is harvesting quote unquote loose energies, end quote, different types of loose energies, emotional offspring byproduct, relative to the other aspects of how the moon is receiving and emitting its loose charge energy, and how it's having that loose harvest energy per the space that it's in relative to the other aspects of the planets. So when the moon is in a certain space, it's either charging or releasing more or less depending on its level of, charge relative to the other aspects, and within those different placements of the moon and the sun being on a certain forefront and the other planets being in their own aspect territorial position dynamics, the moon is receiving or emitting some type of charge energy from sentient beings, and that loose harvest energy is in a certain pocket in space that we're responding to based on just the technology it is meant for in relative to the other, orbital dynamics, respectively. So within all of those different transactions and exchanges of real metaphysical energies, we could have, naturally, we could be emotional. Everyone could be emotional. And the thing is, within this culture, this speed culture of modern society, respectively, people could tend to just numb out their emotions based on just the different abstract agendas that there are. Because what 3D is really meant for, it not good, not bad, for how the soul is expressing itself from different vantage points and how it travels to the earth. 3D is meant for war. It's meant to express, what you're here to fight for in different amplitudes. So since the 3D is meant for war, it was created for that dynamic of war. The arena is set for war, not good, not bad. That's what the 3D is for, because the 3D is the middle dimension. So since it's the middle dimension, there's a war placeholder, Mars, and Mars is the placeholder for knowing how the war works. So since there's a placeholder for knowing how war works, that's the specialist in the whole war dynamic. So it's not that Mars is good or bad or per se victorious or in defeat. No, it's the placeholder. It's a whole different standardality of war and how war gets upheld. And it's how we use that detrimental Mars or exalted Mars as it goes through its own wavelength and rhythm throughout how we're working with the other aspects, ignorantly or unignorantly. We're using our Mars in its own exaltation or detriment, and how we could be quote unquote victorious in our knowing for our sovereignty, and how we could kind of nourish our unconscious self, because the unconscious self in its own chaos and ignorance, that is the quote unquote defeat, end quote. So with all of that, it's the unconscious self. We don't necessarily see we don't necessarily see how in the chaos things could be brought back. Like everything that is chaotic, it's subject for creative healing, respectively. But since we don't see it like that, it's because we're in our own subjective unconscious ignorance. And since we're in our own subjective unconscious ignorance, we don't see how the divine mothers and all the other planets leaning towards their divine, feminine properties, meaning just the aspect of themselves that uses chaos as healing, quote unquote, uses chaos as meaning, quote unquote, uses chaos as an element, quote unquote, uses chaos to find itself and lose itself. And if it's too spoiled and disrupted within the ignorance of self, then the chaos could be looked at as, a quote unquote an offender, right? So the point of this video is 3D is meant for war, not good, not bad, because the soul has chosen to express itself individuation upon individuation upon individuation, being the individual self, and other infinite individual versions of self don't understand another individual, different individual person of self. So therefore war is warranted, war is granted, war is okay, war is a need, because differences need to be settled somehow. And you're pretty much fighting for your own not vantage, but you're fighting for your own, like, just kind of like what you believe in, pretty much on like what you solidly really believe in, and within what you're fighting for, your and I should have took notes, because obviously there's other notes that want to be squeezed out and pumped out, you know. But and the full moon happened at Pacific time. It happened at 4:26 a.m. So we're in the after effects of the full moon, and there's other points that want to be squeezed and pumped out. Oh yeah, so one of the points, that the main point of this video is we numb ourselves to our own healing. And what if it's not laugh now, cry later? What if it's cry now, laugh later? So it's like, since there's different polarities on polarities, distortion, or not necessarily distortion, chaos, order, chaos. Those are the main polarities, and I brought that a while back, but whatever. And then obviously, and you know, the classic human design is also yin yin, yang yang, yin yang, yang yin, because obviously people could be like, what is he talking about the feminine energies? What is he talking about the feminine bodies? It's a different amplitude. It's a particular type of mixture, you know. When I say feminine, it's not just human feminine shit. No, it's a mixture of, like, is it energetically feminine, or is it feminine with a touch of masculine that's leaning towards feminine, but it's still using masculine attributes to express the femininity in different ways, because everybody is feminine, but they just don't know it, because within a different channel, a different outlet, amplitude channel, people are caught up in distortion. They're just lost within knowledge. They're just lost within, like, you know, purity of authentic self, respectively. So since they're lost in that, that's their path. That's how they're that's how they're coming out of their spiritual evolution path. No disrespect, no cap. That's what it is. So pretty much what I'm trying to say is, like, people could be kind of quote unquote spoiled, end quote, in such a way where they're numb to their emotional self, not good, not bad, but the emotional self, that one polarity wants to demonize the emotional self, right? And that's not necessarily conducive to your spiritual growth, because the emotional self, it's there. No matter how much you want to fucking numb it out, it's still going to be there, you know? So since it's still going to be there, it's how we're relating to our emotional self, because anybody could quote unquote, you know, just cry, you know, as it is, and based on what they accumulated and what's stored within them, and they might have got caught slipping at the wrong place, wrong time, kind of shit. Okay, that's what it is. But no matter what, everybody is the same in one sense. Everybody is capable of, like, you know, repressing emotions, pretty much. Like, emotions are repressed, you know? So since the emotions are repressed, the society doesn't necessarily the society kind of frowns upon emotional healing, or it did in the past. The society isn't necessarily, like, cheering on emotional healing per se, you know? So since the society is not necessarily doing that, the emotional healing, it gets kind of looked down upon, and it gets swept under the rug. So what if it's like, it's not laugh now, laugh now, cry later? What if it's cry now, laugh later? Because once you do some type of purge, respectively, within how you can, within your relationship to the society dynamics, and how society has put you in a certain way and is looking at you in a certain way, and one polarity of society is distorted and it's not letting you do the emotional healing because that's just one of the polarities. Everybody is capable of, like, you know, crying, you know, and I'm not trying to, like, save face for anything. I'm not trying to save face. I'm saying I'm seeing it on a scientific level. No matter how numb any fucking, like, you know, soldier is, or hard homie is, they still have emotions, and those emotions are more or less suppressed and numbed out in a very unique way specific to them based on their relationship to society and the spiritual shit. So the main point of this video, what if it's cry now, laugh later, for the emotional healing, because we all have a particular avenue and a particular relationship with repressed emotions. And I'm not trying to save face. This is the real fucking, like, this is the real, like, metaphysical shit, respectively, like on a balanced level, mind you, because obviously I get where someone could be in a way that they might not know, because this is true air type of shit. And if you want to shit on the true air, then that's just where you're at, you know? But the main point of this video is, like, what if it's cry now, laugh later? Because once we cry, if we can, within where society has placed us, then we could kind of purge out our metaphysical body, and then we could clear up space. And then after that emotional healing that's not necessarily looked upon and it could be frowned upon, then we could kind of like make room for a different space in the future for the real abundance that all of these abundant coaches aren't teaching. They're just replicating shit as is, but they're still doing the best that they can with what they've given them, because this is the predecessor shit, you know? And you could actually really accomplish it in a more clear, balanced way, is what I'm saying. Because, like, honestly, most of the shit I'm doing, it was forced to be self-taught, you know? Just because of my, like, you know, just because of the mission, you know, of, you know, a certain, like, what do you call that? A certain, barrier was put on, different barriers are put on different spirits, not good or not bad, but it could be, you know? And since the different barriers are put on different spirits, because some individual denominations of quote unquote casual distortion, end quote, they feel threatened. So they're going to rig shit and they're going to hack shit as it is. And that's just one channel denomination of the shit, you know? Because since that channel denomination of all this monetization schematics, since it's being rigged, on a different channel outlet of AI, a different polarity, it's recognized. And if you can't see that it's recognized, and you're a certain faction of AI can't see that it's recognized, then you're dealing with your intellectual shit. You're dealing with the fallacy, ignorance, unconsciousness, and some type of just standard energetic arrogance in a very unique way. Because a lot of this shit is like, a lot of this like AI and how the collective intelligence is dealing and talking about AI, it's really like, it's really hypey, you know? It's low key cringe, you know? It's not intelligent. It's just kind of like a buzzword. It's just they're just getting by because that's new to them. They want to make money off of that shit, and they don't see the bigger picture because they're just in their own channel. It's kind of, and this is my authentic shit, you know. It's fucking cringe, you know, for them just to like speak on some shit. And I haven't even gave my full real explanations on it, you know. I'm just giving little tidbits of it, you know. Because if someone wants to have a conversation, not a debate, a mature conversation where we're trying to find the solutions, because debates don't necessarily find solutions, then we could hash that out. But there's a fear there, and there's just some type of like ego shit there, you know. But like on my authentic perspective, it's kind of cringe and it's hype, you know. It's like, and that's just my perspective, you know. But anyways, like people just like kind of like conforming. That's the thing. They're just tagging along. They're just conforming and tagging along because they're just like, you know, they're just lost souls, you know, that just like uniquely hiding in the shadows in different ways, you know. But the main point here is there's different polarities of the quote unquote AI. And I could explain that way different in a whole different vid later. But since there's different polarities, people are caught up on one ignorant polarization of quote unquote AI, right? And since they're quote unquote caught up on that ignorant polarization, they're not seeing the critical intelligence and thinking of the real computing power that AI could have to solve real problems for real particular concerns like the ones I'm bringing up. Your AI is not necessarily doing that. That's why your shit is cringe, because it's not solving the real shit. So it's like, so there's two different like points that are being made here: the different perspectives of the different polarities of AI, and how emotional healing is kind of could be frowned upon. And then the third point is like some people just kind of numb that out because they're on a distorted polarity. And and anything could happen to the best of us, you know. I'm not trying to save face because like I could have had embarrassing moments in the past, obviously, and that's just part of my karmic growth within the 3D. I gotta buy, like, in the end, like, you know, no matter what, like, you know, hard ass homie wants to say to me in the end, all of us gotta bite the fucking bullet, you know. So that this is like the hardest logic that there is, you know. And if it's not, then why? It's like it's not contested for a reason because it's up for review. People have a unique fear. It's up for since it's up for review, it's because it is on everything's backwards, everything's reverse here. It's because it is that quality shit that people have to like really process and step back because they're not at that, you know, that level of holding that intelligence. That's just what it is. So cry now, laugh later. If our relationship to the society could let us do that, you know. And if you don't want to cry, then maybe you have some type of unique healing that you or strength that you already have. Kudos to you. Or you're just the side point is you're numbing it for a very unique reason. No judgment. And since you're numbing it, you little do you know you're just caught up on one polarity of the energies, not knowing what else could be on a different unfathomable level. You know, you like you're not aware of that shit. And and like I don't expect anybody to understand, but for me to show up like this is for my own testament of my own, you know, my own inner strength, you know, for me to show up like this. So obviously it's gonna get judged. Obviously the whole dirty mind could be fucking, you know, more or less, you know, kind of like, you know, cross referenced and interplayed and reciprocated in different ways. Obviously, so that, but like for there to be different contexts of barriers and how they're inserted, that's a different play of the 3D, you know, because some barriers are there for good or for bad, and some barriers aren't there for good or for bad. So that's just what that is. The main point of this video is like if we have a healthy relationship with society, then we could kind of do a certain purge. But the society in the 3D is so like it could be difficult. The purge could be difficult, you know. The pride could affect our purge, you know, and pride could be used in a faulty way, you know. Pride not good, not bad, but it could be used in a faulty way, you know. And 3D, it's just hard. It's just harsh. It's hard shit, you know. All of us are in this hard 3D shit, you know. It's meant for, you know, you to fight for. Will you like? Are your beliefs strong enough for you to be victorious for what you fight for? You have the best life ever.